All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to a little new NASCAR edition on this great Sunday as we have Pocono Raceway for the second consecutive Sunday on our NASCAR 07 Cup Series season. But only today we're going to try to go to Victory Lane where we came off a third place finish here last week. And most recently we finished first, dominating yesterday's New Hampshire race. Led 296 of 300 laps. Now, although the flat tracks are good for me on the shorter ovals, 1 mile and less in length, the bigger ovals here at Pocono, even though it's a flat racetrack, kind of struggle for the straightaway speed. That, in regards, means that we could carry more mid-corner speed and overall make up decent lap time. I started at the back of the pack and worked my way towards the front. It took a little over 50 laps to actually get to the lead. We led 41 laps, in fact, in this race earlier this season. A little bit of pit strategy to do so. We'll see what we can do to try to win this race here today. We did have 7 cautions as well last Sunday, so we're more than likely going to see some cautions here today also. Jackson Robinson, Easy Network, Matthew Dorda, Bruno, and others, welcome into the stream. About to get qualifying on the stream. And got the same exact setup that we had here for Pocono earlier in the season. And this is only the second track we're going to for a second time this year. You're going to see a lot of repeat tracks coming up. Michigan later this week. And a bunch of others. Bristol, California, Richmond, all before the chase begins. And once we get into the chase, I think there's only 2 tracks that we haven't gone to yet this season that are in the chase. And that would be Kansas and Homestead. I have no clue where we're going to qualify. I would probably guess it's going to be mid-pack. Handling-wise, the car's fine. You know, which is why I didn't want to try to take a little bit of downforce out to help the straightaways, because I tried doing that at Chicagoland on the last intermediate track, just as like a little, you know, let's take a look at it here while we're still middle of the season and have a big lead over second for the regular season championship. And go figure, finished 17th and never really ran in the top 10 outside of the strategy side of things for most of that race. Had to come back from a lap down. At least got back on the lead lap at the finish, but yeah, only got up to 17th. And that took strategy just to get our lap back. I had to go fuel only on the last gas and go stop. Low downforce for qualifying. That's true. I don't know if I would have made a lap, though, to be completely honest. A clean lap. We get 2 of them. Not a bad lap on lap 1. It's starting to go away a little bit here on the front stretch as we get to the line. 12th. That's better than I thought we were going to have. Let's see if we can pick up on lap 2. Get all that time I'm losing by the end of turn 1. End of the front stretch into turn 1, excuse me. Try not to use quite as much curbing this time. Maybe that'll help a little bit through the middle of the corner. I don't know that that's going to do much. Honestly, I'll take 12th. That's probably about where I'm going to run on speed, honestly. Just got to survive the start. So restart gears probably not going to be great for us. Is that better or worse? It's better. 10th. How about that? Qualified top 10 at Pocono. Ryan Newman on the pole. Go figure. 2 of the last 3 races, he started on the pole. And he won the last race that he started on the pole, which was Chicagoland. Been watching you since 6 a.m. this morning on the old streams. Man, just binge watching the channel. I appreciate that. That's cool. Wade, thanks for tuning in as well. Lost all the speed on the straightaways. Yeah, that's going to happen. I'll take 10. We'll probably lose some of that on the initial start here as the green flag is in the air. 500 miles, 200 laps of racing. Buckle up. We got 3 hours of NASCAR coming for you for the second straight Sunday at Pocono. Newman leads the field down into turns 1 and 2. Single file for the top roughly 3 positions. 2 and 3 wide further back through the field out of turn 1. Down this next straightaway headed for turn 2. Only lost 1 spot on the initial start. I actually didn't fire off terribly there. And I think that's because everybody was kind of double wide and going 2 or 3 wide there in front of us in that group of cars. Newman got passed in turn 2 by Jimmy Johnson, in fact, and Johnson looks like he's going to lead the opening lap of the race as he carries the lead through turn 3. Biffle trying to get underneath Scott Riggs. Oh, I wasn't trying to do that. I thought he was going to go to the wall a little more, and he didn't. And that just killed the momentum of the 22 car down the front stretch. Michael Waltrip gets by at the start-finish line for 11th place. Rocket Man burning up his fuse there all alone. Meant to get a Seahawks jersey. Jeez. That would be a good game tonight, actually. Seattle's always a tough place to play. Walter Blaney catching the 10 car of Scott Riggs. Big run to the bottom for the 22. Trying to take it 3 wide to get to 10th, right where he started, which he should be able to pass both cars, and does. I would like to think I'm quicker than both of them anyway. So Jimmy Johnson leading the first 2 laps of the race. Probably going to be closer at the front of the field while this pack of cars is battling. Waltrip looking to get to the inside. We did some 2-tire strategies here earlier. I keep saying earlier in the season, but again, it was last Sunday. We ran at Pocono. Only 6 races apart from one another, from one Pocono race to the other. Locking Waltrip off before entering turn 3. Almost wrecked early. Yeah, that would not have been good. Definitely want to take care of the equipment. That was the only contact we've had, though, which is actually impressive at Pocono, because, again, we saw a lot of 3 wide racing in front of us on the initial start. It looks like they're 3 wide for second. Johnson fell out of the lead in turn 1 to Elliott Sadler. I think he's stuck on the outside. Blaney just underneath Biffle into turn 2. That's probably the one corner of the racetrack I feel a little bit tight with the race car. Little contact there with Kenza. Kenza chopping down on the 22. Biffle almost, well, actually did get to the inside 3 wide. He's hanging on the left rear corner panel, but Blaney holds clear. Stays in the draft behind Truex to kind of keep the straightaway speed up a little bit. That's going to be the great equalizer for us today. And that's why it's so tough for us to make passes on the cars towards the front of the field. Truex to the bottom 3 wide under Dale Jr., Tony Stewart. Blaney followed him through to get to 6th. And Blaney to the outside of Truex. Truex is just going to hold the bottom. Trying to get a little draft off Ryan Newman in the 4th place position just up ahead. Truex not giving Blaney a lot of room, but Blaney holds the outside well through the tunnel turn. Door-to-door into turn 3. Gordon trying to go for second under his teammate Johnson. Little contact. Oh, that hurt. That hurt. Man, that was tight. Oh, man, we're going to lose so many spots. Obviously not intentional. Battling hard there. I tried to hold the outside. I just twitched the analog stick just enough when I got up off the exit of the corner that we made contact. I did not have a lot of room up there to try to hold that. I held it in turn 2, but I couldn't hold it in 3. We were so close to clearing him, too. I wasn't trying to move down. It's twitchy on the straightaways here at the analog stick. It's real easy to move the car around. That's why I had that contact on like lap 2 or whatever it was. I think it was with Truex on the left rear. I don't think I hurt the car too badly. It was a semi-hard hit into the inside wall with the left side of the car. If I had hit head on, it would have taken more speed out of it, but I think just hitting it with the left side, we're okay. We are back in traffic now, and so much for the good starting position that we had here initially. I'm surprised there wasn't a caution for that. I'm glad there wasn't, though, because then we would have been even further back in the pack, because I would have had to pit for causing the incident, so we'd be dead last instead of 21st. Field's still bunched together, which I think will help us, because the more they get spread apart, that's where it's going to hurt when we try to make passes, because then we can't get the draft off that next car in front when we make a pass. We have the ability to still do that now. The pack isn't broken up. Not yet, at least. So I still have faith that at least we can drive up close to about where I started. So we got as high as 6th in the running order in these first 8 laps. And as far back as about 23rd. Up to 19th now. Riggs started around us. He's dropped back quite a bit from the start as well. Trying to get back by Brian Vickers for 17th place. Car behind us just hit the wall off the exit of turn 2. Riggs gets by Vickers, so does Blaney, but Vickers going to go with the 22 car, it appears. Rather than with the 10. Now he's going to go to the bottom. I'm going to try to block him. I don't want to go 3 wide into the corner. Vickers drove it in deep to get underneath the 10 car. Blaney's able to clear in the middle of the corner on Riggs. Riggs falls back to 19th again as Vickers is in 18th. So Jimmy Johnson led the first 4 laps of the race. Elliott Sadler's led since. Sadler needs a good run today, right on the bubble of the chase. I did put more positions up in the ticker on the top of the screen, so you can see who's all battling around the bubble for those final chase spots. Top 10 get in on points alone in this original chase format. Once we get into NASCAR 08, it'll be similar to the original chase format, where it's still going to be the top 10. The only difference is that points for winning, you get a little bit more points for winning than what you do under this current format. But otherwise, it's mostly the same. Wasn't I just in 8th? What happened? Didn't see it. I had contact with Truex off of turn 3. I was on the outside and just twitched the analog stick just a little too much. The steering wheel, the virtual steering wheel, twitched it a little too much and I had contact. Lost a lot of momentum. And this giant group of cars, they're still nearly 3 wide. Casey Kane looking to the bottom, but no drafting help to try to keep the momentum up down there. We'll see if he goes for a pass. Not quite. So, if I remember correctly, this was a 4-stop race because of all the cautions that we had. We had 7 of them. I would imagine if we have at least a couple of yellows, it's going to be a 4-stop race again. It could be fuel mileage if we did stay green most of the way, but I doubt that that's going to happen. Such a fast track with difficult corners. Probably why we had as many yellows as we did earlier in the year. Truex fell back quite a bit after that contact, too. I didn't even realize that. I mean, we were 6th and 7th, and 5th and 6th, rather, and now we're 15th and 16th. And Truex is trying to block all the way to the inside. And up the racetrack he goes, and Blaney will get around him that way. Thank you. Blocking for his life, and now Michael Waltrip's going to get by him as well, it looks like. I think Truex is just racing me too hard. I think that's the problem here. Oh, wow, that was close. Over drove turn 2. I have Michigan in the thumbnail. I am aware of that. I didn't have a thumbnail ready when I was getting the stream, and that was the only screenshot I had so far. So I was saving it for Michigan for later in the week. That's all right. Hey, it's NASCAR's Cup Series, and it was a 2006 photo, you know, from this season. Similar track. A lot of speed, long straightaways. Not the same, but race is somewhat similar. That was old Michigan, too. That was when they still had quite a few seats in 3 and 4. Well, more contact with Kenseth. Kenseth's dropping back, too. He was in the top 10 those early laps. I like that scheme he's got, by the way, for this race. I can't tell what the sponsor is, but unique Kenseth scheme. Yeah, I mean, we're in 14th. Front of the field's getting more separated. And obviously they're faster and faster, so we're not gaining as many positions as quick. We got all that curb in turn 1. They didn't throw the car around, surprisingly. Carhartt? Oh, okay. Thanks for that. It's hard for me to tell with the graphics. The only paint schemes I really remember from Kenseth at this time period was obviously the DeWalt scheme and then the USG paint scheme that he had around this time. I think he won with that car at California in 07, the USG car. That was also the same car he got in that fight with, or, well, it wasn't a fight, but the pushing match with Jeff Gordon at Bristol. Right around the same time. Bobby Labonte on the brink of a top 10 early on. Having a solid day. Needs a little bit more with Johnson and Sadler, who are right around the bubble with him in the chase battle. Currently, first and maybe third. Labonte blocks to the inside into turn 3. Blaney trying to get going through the field. Labonte gets by Hamlin. Gets to the inside of Greg Biffle. And here we go. Labonte and Blaney working together in the draft. 52.044. Labonte blocks Blaney all the way down towards the bottom. This is going to be similar to Martin Truex Jr. Way down into the grass, up against the wall. Hard hit for Bobby Labonte as he spins down into traffic. I believe that was Casey Kane that was collected. Big hit for the 43. Head on into the wall. Yeah, it was Yaley that came across. So a few more. Kenseth, Waltrip, Truex into Waltrip. A 5-6 car crash in turn 1 at Pocono, our first caution of the day. That was a hard hit. Turn 1 wall head on at Pocono. It was down to the grass, all Dukes and Hazard style. And we may see cars pit here. If they pit, I'm going to pit, but they're staying out. I was going to say, if they were going to pit, I was going to pit too, but I was waiting to see if somebody would pull down. I didn't see anybody, so green flag going to be back in the air here, lap 20. Our first caution of the day here at the Pocono Raceway. And there's that restart gear for Dave Blaney. He just doesn't fire off well in that 11th place position. Greg Biffle's going way down low. Trying to make the pass on the 22, and he's not going to be able to. Good block there, not to lose any positions. Labonte's still in front of us. Same with Casey Kane. We actually did not get credited in those positions before the yellow flag came out. I would imagine we're going to see some debris yellows because there were a couple of hard hits in there, especially for the 43. The fact that his car is still alive is insane, but he's going to be losing some speed when he starts shedding that debris, which I would imagine he will. Not sure how many laps is going to go by in between that. We were able to go over 40 laps on a fuel run earlier in the season. Once we get to around lap 40, I think we could probably pit. I don't think we were quite inside the window yet. which is probably why everybody stayed out. I don't know if they can go as far as I can on fuel, though. We save a lot in the draft down the straightaways, especially because I don't have the straightaway speed, and I think that's why I'm able to go like 5-6 laps longer than everybody else on fuel here from where we had last Sunday. Problem is with not taking off well in the restart and it being a single file restart this time instead of double wide, they're not slowing each other up as much. Not able to fan out as much on that warm-up lap, and Blaney's doing all he can to try to keep up with them, and he's struggling. Staying in front of Biffle, kind of pulling him and everybody else behind the 16 out of our rear view. Jimmy Johnson back to the lead also on Sadler from the restart. Elliott's led the most laps. 3 wide, just outside the top 5 it looks like, off of turn 1. Bobby didn't need that crash, though, I'll tell you that. He's still trucking, but I've seen it where cars get into the hard crashes early in the race and then they end up DNFing before the finish. That engine's going to have to go 500 miles at Pocono with severe damage, and I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. I hope he does, because he's still in the top 10 and 9th. Actually, just past Casey Kane that last lap. And although we're losing everybody else, we are staying with Kane after he was on the outside. Oh, boy, almost ran over that debris. And that was Labonte's hood, our second caution of the race now. I was, like, not even a full lane above it. I was against the wall on the outside, and it was like a lane off the wall. And it looks like he lost his front bumper, too, at the same time. Actually, no, it was his front bumper that came off. His hood's still on there. Now we'll stay out of the pits again, as does everybody else. Gordon got the second right behind Johnson. Hendrick Motorsports still has not won a race this season. Gordon's been quick the last several, though. He goes a lap down early, and then he has to come back from it. Still gets good finishes, but see if he can keep that track position today. Oh, little bit of a wheel spin on the restart there for Blaney. That was a worse restart than the one before. Gordon to the lead on Johnson. You're almost a sitting duck when you're the leader with all the cars in the draft behind you down that long straightaway headed into turn 1. You just can't get up to speed as quick. And I think that's how Sadler lost the lead to Johnson, and Johnson loses the lead down to Jeff Gordon. First time Gordon has led today. He's only the 3rd different leader in what is the 27th lap. Contact off turn 2 between Biffle and Hamlin. Gailey gets by both of them. Hamlin got a piece of the wall. Halfway out of gas at lap 27. I mean, it could be a 3-stop race the way these cautions are kind of landing out. We've saved about 6 laps of fuel. Obviously, we would probably need a lot more yellows to be able to do that, but so far, it's not bad. HMS dominated at 07. 07, this is technically the 06 season. The game has the title of NASCAR 07, but usually at the sports games, especially at this time period, they we got another caution. I don't know if that was for Labonte, though. I didn't see any debris from his car. Oh, no, we had another crash in turn 1. Back in the pack. David Stremme, Paul Menard, our 3rd yellow. Well, that's interesting. I don't know if these guys are going to pit or not. I might have to go off strategy to get track position. Like, if I can pit on one less stop because I can go 50 with all these cautions, I think we need to keep staying out and just play that strategy and win the race that way. Because we clearly don't have as much speed as those guys at the very front of the field. 3 yellows already. 32 laps. Green flag back in the air again. I thought it was going to be the Labonte debris caution again, but didn't actually get it. Denny Hamlin nearly down in the grass into turn 1 to get by, or stay in front of at least J.J. Yaley, his teammate. Sadler back to the lead on Gordon. Was able to lead for a couple. Really tight through turn 2 there for Blaney. Oh, gosh. I was turning way too aggressively to try to block Biffle down the straightaway. almost wiped out, even without any contact. Dale Jr. around Casey Kane, Bobby Labonte now. Michael Waltrip just got by, as well as Biffle around the 11 and the 18 behind us. Oh, I was looking at the chat. I'm sorry. I screwed that up so badly. I was looking at the chat in the wrong part of the racetrack. Might lose a spot to Denny Hamlin because of it. Lost so much momentum coming out of there. I don't know how I kept it off the wall. I was heavy on the brakes right in the middle of the corner. Lost a lot of time. Hamlin now to the inside. 3 wide up ahead of us with Labonte, Earnhardt, and Kane. Can't capitalize on it, though, with the 11 on the inside of the 22. So Hamlin gets through for now. The real-life winner of this race. Swept Pocono in his rookie season. Trying to break that side draft. Oh, I'm sorry, Biffle. Made a pathway for Waltrip to get by the 16 car with that contact. Sure should make lap 50. I definitely can make it there at least on the first stop. Nobody's pitted yet in this race, so we're all kind of thinking the same thing, I would imagine. That 3-car group of the 8, 9, and the 43 are all starting to lose the cars in front of them, too. They're battling 2 and 3 wide consistently. I don't know if I'm going to actually complete the pass on Hamlin. Oh, I did. I thought I lost too much momentum going into the corner. I tried to widen my groove out on the entry. And I tried to move close to the wall. Kind of got myself sucked into it. But we did pass Hamlin. Hamlin bounces off the curb getting into turn 2. Not able to get underneath the 22 car. So close to being able to draft off these guys just in front of us. Hamlin's digging, man. Earnhardt, Kane side by side yet again. Three wide here, Casey Kane, Dale Jr., Bobby Labonte. They almost made contact. I shoved so badly there. That car did not want to hold that corner. I think I was just carrying so much speed from the straightaway that I didn't anticipate the car slowing down as much. They draft off Bobby Labonte. I thought he was going to do that again. Oh, boy. No caution for it that time. Oh, Labonte is missing his hood. What the heck? He losing under the caution? One of them? It was his front bumper that fell off. His hood came off at some point. He's still trucking. Aerodynamically, that's not good for that 43 car. Blaney going for 8th on Casey Kane. I don't think we were going to be able to clear there. Bonnie's going to have a harder time trying to stay in the draft of somebody with all that damage, too. Second caution. Any NFL predictions today? Golly. I think a lot of road teams are going to win today. Seems like there's a lot of heavy favorites playing on the road against some really, really weak teams. Like I saw yesterday that the Saints aren't even starting Derek Carr this week for injury. They're starting this, like, Hafner guy. I have no clue who he is. So I'm going to expect... I think they're playing Washington, and Washington's got a pretty good team this year. Ravens are playing, I think, the Titans? They're playing a weak team on the road, too. That Bills and Lions game, I have zero clue. I mean, you can flip a coin as to who's going to win that one. I always like to take the home field advantage side of things, so I do like Detroit for that sake. Buffalo doesn't seem to win as many games on the road compared to what they do at home. So I'd probably favor the Lions just by, I mean, the slimmest margin, but that game could really go either way. Bengals are playing... Okay, there we go. That's what it was. Well, that might be a closer game than what I was thinking. No, the Ravens are playing somebody weak. That I know, because it was like a 16.5-point spread or something ridiculous like that for that game. The Giants? Maybe it's the Giants. It's in New Orleans. No, I don't think the Ravens are playing the Saints. I think, maybe it's the Giants that they're playing. They're playing a weak team. It's not the Saints, though. The Saints are... playing Washington. That game I definitely know. Because I picked up Washington's defense on my ESPN league when I saw that last night. They were available on the playoffs roster. First week of the playoffs is this week. And I didn't get the bye because I lost by 1.5 last week. Freaking CD Lamb. I can't believe that. I thought there was no chance I was going to lose. I went from the number 1 seed to the number 3 on the last week of the season. I've lost 3 weeks in a row in that league, though. That's the problem. Like, I had a 2-game lead on him 2 weeks ago. And I go from a 2-game lead over second to losing 3 games in a row. And I fall out of the top 2 seeds, and now I've got to play this week. We got cars coming to pit road already. Looks like Jeff Gordon. Looked like Jeff Gordon was coming down onto pit road. Lap 43. Yeah, I mean, it could be a fuel mileage race here today. That could be about the only way we're going to win this thing, honestly. Move under Casey Kane. Got a few more cars pitting. Kyle Busch So up in the top 5, he comes to pit road, couple others as well. Because we restarted about 12 laps ago, all these cars that are pitting that are closer to the front of the field will easily stay on the lead lap. There's going to be some that will be a lap down at the back of the pack until everything cycles through at least. But the front of the field is definitely going to be able to hold on to their lap. If we were to pit early, we'd probably hold on to our lap too. You'd like to be the first to pit last here at Pocono. Kind of like a road course situation, but at the same time, we're trying to stretch the fuel window today to potentially get a win. Sadler coming into the pits. I'm very curious to see who else is going to try to make it on fuel to lap 50, if anybody is going to be able to. And Jeff Gordon's leading now, so maybe it was Jimmy Johnson who was the first car to pit road, with Gordon out in front still. There's a little tight turn 2. Later and later the run goes. It's definitely tightening up on that end of the track. We did have a problem with speeding on pit road at Pocono earlier this season as well. Not as bad as Michigan. I sped twice in that race, but we did speed once at Pocono earlier this season, so I do have to remember to kind of back it up a little bit. Still got cars obviously cycling off. 2 more cars in front of us haven't pit yet. Casey Kane just did. Going to catch David Stremme in a bad spot right in the middle of turn 1 as he's trying to get up to speed. Fresher tires try to pull us. Big dive under David Stremme. Passed him in turn 2. We got to stretch this out as long as we can. I'm not pitting right at lap 50 if I can go a couple laps further. That'll only help us for later in the race. And we're going to get 5 bonus points for leading our first lap of the day. So 47 laps to get to the front of the field from the 10th place starting position. And we will lead during the green flag pit stop sequencing. And again, 3 cautions so far in the race today. Had 7 of them last Sunday at Pocono in our first race here at Tricky Triangle. Still got some cars behind us trying to stretch it. We got a couple of them pitting this time. Actually, it looks like the rest of them are. Only a couple cars behind us. David Stremme, Reed Sorensen are a lap down. And that would be it. So we're at the back of the pack of cars that have already cycled off of pit road. 2 would be risky. I mean, we took 2 tires earlier in the season. I don't know what the tire wear has been so far, though. That's the thing. We're definitely going further on fuel this time around. Got a 34-second lead. We go 2, it's going to be rights only, and then we would flip-flop to lefts after that. We're definitely giving up time on these older tires, staying out as long as we have. So I don't know where we want to cycle here. Fuel load's getting light. I think I'm going to go to lap 51. And we're going to pit at lap 51. And the yellow on the rights. Yeah, well, we definitely have to change those off. If the lefts aren't there yet, you know, even if we went 2 tires on the first stop, and then, like, if the rights and yellows are, or rights and lefts are both in the yellow, then when we get to the stop after that, then we take 4, and then we go rights only again for the final stop. Instead of just alternating every time. You can tell we're slower because I can't even keep up with Paul Menard in the draft right now. He's pulled us. Made it to lap 51. We could just have the manageability to just stay in the draft with those guys. I'm going to go rights, at least on this stop. And we'll see for stop number 2 when we get there. Can't speed. I had to lock him up a little bit. I skirted him just a bit. It wasn't terrible. No adjustments here. Right side tires only for Dave Blaney. Got that next lap led. We led about 5 or 6 laps. Almost wasn't ready for that. Sadler back in the lead. Everything cycles through. There's no apron, so nobody better hit us. Getting up to speed pretty quickly down to the bottom of the track with Gordon and Harvick side by side to the outside. Trying to make this pass on Harvick. The curb shoved the car a little more through turn 2, but we did clear the 29. All right. I mean, I'll take this. We definitely got some of our track position back. Hovering right around 10th place for a while up until those pit stops. Looking for a pass on Jeff Gordon for 3rd. Clear out of turn 1. Big dive by Gordon, trying to get that crossover, hanging on the left rear corner panel of Dave Blaney's race car, but Blaney holds on in front of him, gets a good corner exit. Clears to the bottom with a block entering turn 3. I need to the bottom of the track and to try to break the draft here. I'm going back to the outside anyway. He's not going to have enough speed to make the pass. We just got to hope the left sides are still in the green, so that's good. So we should be able to definitely make it to the next stop. I think if Gordon was able to stay to our outside on corner exit, he would probably be able to pass us. But not when he gets there on corner entry. That's right. Curvature there through turn one. Gordon blocking. Now he'll hold on to that spot. Tried to back turn two up a lot better that time. Well, we can draft behind him, try to catch this group of cars just up ahead. He's just not as fast as we are in the corners, so if he runs the bottom, we'll be okay, but if he doesn't, definitely be some time lost there. I don't know who's in second up here. Maybe Jimmy then? Yeah, it does help save fuel. Yeah, it's Jimmy Johnson in second. Not close enough to try to swing by Jeff Gordon yet. Getting there. 51.94 that last lap. Now trying to make this pass to get to Jimmy Johnson. A little contact with Jeff Gordon. That's going to bog our speed down even more down the straightaway. Gordon not giving a lot of room. Hopefully it doesn't work with his teammate to pull away from us. Took a peek. Couldn't stay underneath Gordon. Oh, man, I got a little loose getting down into turn one. Still drove underneath Gordon. They're close enough nose to tail, though. I don't know if we're going to be able to clear in between them. Oh, nope, we did. I kind of forced my way in there, but did what we had to do to clear Gordon. I got to block him off. Through turn two. Car didn't get tight that time. It is going to be a little bit more free with the right sides only and the older left side tires. Blaney up to third. Riding down with Jimmy Johnson. Fastest lap of the day, 51.698, that last lap for the 22. I don't know exactly what our fastest lap would have been. Earlier in the season here. Through the tunnel turn. Greg Biffle in the running order. Not sure right now. I mean, he was kind of hovering around us before we got into the pit stops for the first time. Fastest lap of the day, 51.522. It's a great lap. we got to look for a pathway to try to get by Jimmy Johnson now that we're closing in on Elliott Sadler. This is what you love to see, though, with the 48 and the 38 battling towards the rear of the chase, and here they are, both up at the front of the field at Pocono. They both led laps today. Sadler has led more. Well, they're both having a stellar performance. Just can't stay to the inside of Jimmy Johnson. Johnson might have enough speed to get by Sadler for the lead. Looking to the inside. A little bit of drafting help with Blaney, but Blaney's a little too far back to give him a push. It's more help in the 22 for the time. Sadler blocks the 48. Blaney on the inside of Jimmy Johnson for second. Sadler blocking for his life. Blaney up to second. Way to fix straightaway speed in the car, not during the race. Not really. Maybe add a little air pressure. That's going to loosen the car up a little bit. It's tough to add air pressure when you're not putting 4 tires on the car, too. So it's all right. We'll ride with it. We did it earlier this season. We got a 3rd place finish out of it. Like I said, it's going to be tough to win. Right on the back of the 38 car now, though. Draft away from Jimmy Johnson, right behind the 38. Not trying to make this pass on him. I didn't want to make the pass on Elliott Sadler. Slowed up so much getting into turn 1. I don't know that it was him slowing up so much as it was us getting just that good of a run. A little bit of both, maybe. Might win with 4 tires. The only thing is we're going to have a slower pit stop with 4 tires because that's kind of been the case all season long. Especially when we pit under green, we do lose quite a bit of time compared to the rest of the field. I could pit before them and I'd still be at a risk of potentially losing time during green flag stops. I think that's a part of having this equipment. Just like the engine on the straightaways. Yeah, I'm trying to ride behind Sadler. I really was not trying to get underneath him, but I also didn't want to lift any more than I already did in turn 1 a couple laps ago. If I get too big of a run underneath him, you know, so be it. I'll drive underneath him. If I clear him, I clear him. If not, I don't. The last time I didn't. Honestly, the handling feels fine. We did this strategy earlier in the year. I mean, with 4 tires, we'd probably have a better chance of trying to make a pass on Sadler for sure, but... And then maybe holding him off, obviously, as well. We've already gotten our 5 bonus points. And we're a little bit better on fuel than the rest of the field right now as well. We were the only one to make it to at least lap 50. We went to lap 51. So I'm still looking at that as my pathway to trying to win this race. Would be the fuel mileage side of it. Break away from the pack. Oh, for sure. I mean, if we break away from the pack and took 4 tires, I'd probably be able to stay in second, but then I'm afraid I'm going to lose Elliott Sadler. That's the only thing with that. That's all right. I mean, I had my game plan coming into it, that this is more than likely what I was going to do. The only difference is we had cautions earlier in the race compared to what we had earlier this season. The only chance of making it on field, though, I think I am going to have probably more yellows sporadically throughout than just those 3. About a third of the way through the race. Sadler had a little bit of a wobble getting down into turn 1. Game plan changes. I had no plan B. That's my excuse. I really don't trust the pit crew. I really don't. I have no faith in them. Because, I mean, that's losing time on a clean stop. From what I was talking about. If we have a pit stop that isn't clean, then you're talking about way more time lost. We're definitely pulling way ahead of Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson. Falcons Fly, thanks for tuning in. When do I plan on passing Sadler, though? Not till the end of the race, honestly. 2-tire strategy, I'll probably cycle out in front of him for a little bit, and then he'll end up catching me. Just because it's quicker down the straightaways. It's kind of what I did with... This is exactly what I did with Kevin Harvick in the race earlier this season. The only difference is I was able to go a little bit longer on fuel the first run this time around, so I was able to lead my laps that way instead of taking the 2 tires to lead my only laps of the race. I have to have such a huge run to pass him, though. I'm not lifting when we get side by side and he pulls back around me off of turn 1, which is the only corner I've gotten underneath him. It goes to show like how good I have to be through that corner to actually be able to clear him. Because I've had no chance to do that 3 times now. Less brake, let off. Yeah, I'm definitely doing that. Like for instance, when I get the run down this long straightaway here and he gives up enough at the bottom and I get underneath him, I'm just kind of rolling the gas underneath him until I feel like I can get back into it. That could be a momentum thing too off the exit corner, why I'm not getting as much of a pull on Sadler compared to what I was on other cars. Don't tickle him, he doesn't want any. Any wrecks yet? Yeah, we've had 3 cautions. Menard and Stremme at the back of the pack. Turn 1 was our last crash. We had a hard crash with Bobby Labonte head on into turn 1, 5-6 cars involved. That was our first yellow, and then we had a debris caution from Bobby Labonte shortly after that crash. All 3 of those cautions came out in about a 12-lap stretch or so, between laps 20 and 32, and here we are at lap 72, about 40 laps into the green flag run. Nobody pitted during the cautions. Everybody pitted under green. All on their own fuel strategies. Definitely forcing Sadler to go long. I don't think anybody else is going to be anywhere close to making it on 3 stops like us. Four to 5 seconds ahead of Johnson Gordon by now. That's insane that we'd be that far ahead. We really haven't been drafting with this 38 car that long. What, maybe 10, 12 laps? But yeah, I mean, you're right. We're definitely opening that gap up. We still got a lot of clean air in front of us, too. No lap traffic. I don't know that we're going to catch any lap cars until we get into the next fuel run. Maybe a couple of them, like Stremme and Sorensen, and that might be it. Smooth as fast, as DW would say. Yep. Yes, it is. Staying smooth right now. I mean, outside of that slight tangle with Truex a half dozen laps into the race, it's been a clean race for us since. But we got that track position back with the pit strategy, and we were able to get up to about 10th before the pit sequencing started. We took right sides only to get into this position, and now here we are. I'll give Sadler the 10 bonus points. We're going to get the #1 seed. It's just a matter at this point of how many races early am I going to clinch the #1 seed. Is it going to be 1, 2, 3 races early? Dave Blaney fan, just race with him to race with him. I would say I am a Dave Blaney fan. He wasn't my favorite driver growing up. Greg Biffle was. Usually I let you guys vote for one season on these classic game playthroughs as to who I'm going to use, and then I use Biffle the next season, or vice versa. I'll do Biffle the first season, then you can vote for the second. And we do a big voting process through the community tab and on the live streams and stuff with polls. But anyway, with Dave Blaney, I wanted to race as him. My favorite driver now is Ryan Blaney, and just because he's his dad, I figured one of these classic game seasons, I wanted to use Dave Blaney to try to win a championship. I always liked the Caterpillar paint schemes over the years, so I wanted to choose this one. That, and if I waited too long to try to win a championship with him in later games, I'd probably be less likely to win it because he's going to get worse and worse equipment as we go from game to game at this point. Congrats to Blaney getting married. I knew that was supposed to happen this offseason. I didn't know exactly when that was supposed to happen. I don't follow drivers with their personal lives that closely. I remember seeing that a long time ago, that they were engaged and they were going to get married this winter, but I had no clue when exactly that was happening. ESPN League, I picked up Washington. They were only available because they were on a team that didn't make the playoffs, and that guy must have dropped them or something. Playing the Saints on a backup quarterback without Derek Carr today, so going with that. Watch Alvin Kamara just like rush for 200 yards and a bunch of touchdowns against them. That would help my my other league, though, the big money league, because I have Kamara in that one. I'm trying to get that #1 seed for the play, or not #1 seed, first round bye for the playoffs there. I got to get into the top 4, and I'm one game back, tied for 5th right now. That league, we do like a playoff draft when the playoffs come around. So we have kind of two separate champions. We have a regular season champion, which is kind of our bigger one. Bigger prize pot on top of the fact that you get a trophy and your team name and championship winning year engraved into it. And it's kind of like the Stanley Cup, how it just gets bigger every year. So we have that. I'm definitely not going to win that. I think I'm not mathematically out of it yet because I'm 3 games back with 4 games to go, but very unlikely with how many teams I have between me and first that I would get up that high. So I'm trying to get the first round bye because the whole league basically drafts for the playoffs. 12-team league, 5 through 12 are in the first round. Top 4 get the bye. If you win, you advance, and you redraft your roster every week because the playoff roster is going to change every week. Obviously, as teams get eliminated, you can't, pick those players anymore. So, yeah, it's a redraft every week based on the finishing position from where you were in the season. So, like, if I finish 5th and I miss out on the first round bye, I'm going to be the first overall pick in the playoff draft for the wild card round. Lap car down to the bottom of the track there. Scott Riggs blowing an engine right in front of Reed Sorensen. As Sadler and Blaney race by to the outside. I wasn't sure Sadler was going to check up because of that or not. I was a little scared when we were at the drive by on the outside. Nothing to be scared about. We made it. Right on target to do the 3-stop strategy. Yeah, we're definitely saving a lot of gas, too. I've been saving a lot of gas riding behind him. The big thing is how much gas am I actually... I'm not going to be able to save much gas once he pits. Unless I could get a lap car to draft off of. If we're in a good spot. I didn't the last run. Xbox or PS2? This is PS2. I actually had the PSP version of this game growing up. Was the version I had, but I bought this version for the PS2 for the classic game playthroughs because I haven't had that PSP in a while. I think I was like 15, 16 years old the last time I was able to use it. It was just deteriorating over time because I'd pretty much broken it down. Analog stick would stick one way a lot. And then the X button, I can remember specifically, was also kind of sticking at times. I think the right trigger or the left trigger might have been sticking also. It was just getting old. Then the memory card, like the memory card holder would pop out a lot. So I had to tape it at one point to keep it shut so I could actually save the games I was playing. I tried to use that thing as long as I could. I had it for a long time, though. I had it from when I was like 8 years old to 15, 16, because I can remember in high school at lunch I was like 15, 16, and I'd have it at times. So it lasted a long time. And I've played it a lot, too. I probably played that more than all the console games I had. It had a lot of use for about 7, 8 years. That was a lot of longevity in that little thing. Those were some good times. I've always kind of looked back at maybe repurchasing one. The only difference is that I feel like I'd hurt my neck now that I'm older. Because I would not be able to look down like that for that long of a period of time without my neck getting stiff like I used to. Growing up, they were cool, but I think it's a thing of the past for me. I could just get the same games I would have played on there for this, and let's go from there. That's actually where I played SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 growing up. Was on that. It wasn't on like an actual gaming console. Do it laying down. Yeah, I'm not 5. I definitely wouldn't be able to play a game for an hour on end. Well, we lost our drafting partner way quicker than I anticipated we were going to lose him. Elliott Sadler pitted at lap 82. Sadler must be getting awful fuel mileage. I would imagine he was leading all those laps. I was not thinking he was going to pit that early. That means we have to go like 18 laps without any drafting help. We're going to lose a ton of time. I mean, that, again, kind of forces the hand into having to go 2 tires just to try to keep up with them. Because we're going to stay out as long as we can. There's still that chance we can make this race on 2 more stops. Kind of bed, just a normal bed. I can remember when I was a little kid, I wanted a race car bed, and I never had one. I had seen them, and I'm like, man, I want a race car bed. I never got one. I was hoping, like, Christmas one of these years I'd have a race car bed. Didn't have it. Just a normal bed. Yeah, the time lost is not losing time to Johnson and Gordon as much as it is losing time to Elliott Sadler. Him pitting that early does kind of force us into this position a little more. 4 tires, save fuel the rest of the way. Nah, I'm still going 2. I'm still going 2. I'm going to be stubborn with that strategy, but hopefully we stay green the rest of the way for this to actually work out. If I'm actually saving that much fuel under green like I have been. Because I've saved a lot. For me to basically run 9 caution laps earlier in the race, and I'm almost getting the same fuel mileage running under green while now I was behind Elliott Sadler. Lost over half a second without the 38. Yep. Yeah, I saw that. Our lead's down under 7.5 seconds already. Just in a couple laps. 4 laps. So he pitted at 82, coming to 83. 3 laps. Save gas mode. My save gas mode was when I was running behind him. Right now, I got to keep at least a little bit of pace up and just kind of hope that I get close to lap 100. Because if I'm saving gas without any draft right now, I'd be losing way more time to the 38. There'd be no chance I have him catching him. Case Kane colors in your room. I had Green Bay Packer colors for a long time. I pretty much had Green Bay Packer colors in my room, like all the way through. Because I had the same bedroom from the house we moved in when I was in like 6th grade. Got the Packer colors painted. And then, I mean, the walls stayed the same color up until... I think it was still like that when I first started the channel, actually. Now that I think about it, so I was probably like 21. Somewhere around there before the walls got repainted, and then I ended up moving out like within a year or 2 after that. Harvick down to the bottom. Maybe draft behind him. He's definitely a quick enough car to be able to do that with. Once he finds the pathway to get around us, at least. All right. Hoping Harvick gets around us on the front stretch here. We'll just go to the bottom of the track, try to give him the pathway to maybe get by, and then we draft behind the 29. Oh, we're still side by side. Getting into turn 1. Hopefully Harvick clears down this next straightaway. He does. All right, now we draft behind the 29 car so we can save a little bit of gas in the back half of this run. We went about 7 laps without being able to have a drafting partner, and now we've got one again. Ryan Newman, Tony Stewart just behind us as well. Thing is, though, can I keep up with the 29? That's going to be the next question. How old the left sides are compared to those guys that are on 4 fresh Goodyears now. And these are the same left side tires we started the race with. So, I mean, that tells you how old they are. Be behind Sadler 2 tires. Yeah, it depends how much time we lost. It's gonna be it's gonna be interesting because we're making time up again with Harvick as our drafting partner, slowly getting away from Stewart and Newman behind us. Should both get around Reed Sorensen. Harvick cleared him through turn 2. Blaney's going to have to do that in turn 3. Harvick running that middle to bottom groove, though, gives Blaney the opportunity on the bottom of the track to clear. Stewart did get by Newman recently as well for whatever position they're battling for. 51.365. Fastest lap of the race for Dave Blaney. Try not to use much brake there. It's a lot harder in turn 2. Left front and the yellow on the tire wear indicator. We will be changing lefts only on this next stop. I mean, obviously the blinds are closed, but you still get kind of like the street lights kind of flashing in at times. The moon, depending on where it's at, that kind of shines through somewhat easily. Keeping the walls dark, it does help keep the room dark quite a bit too. We're 36 seconds ahead of Elliott Sadler. I think when he was in second the first stop, we had about 33. Wasn't about 33 and a half seconds, but we also cycled out in third a couple seconds behind him. So it is going to be really close as to whether or not we'll be right there with him. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Falcons Fly. Yeah, it's a good thing Kevin Harvick was right around us when he had cycled out of the pits, because if not, I definitely would have lost the lead to Sadler. So we were definitely fortunate enough that this happened. No flashing red yet. That's good. 51.338, fastest lap of the day again. Oh, now it's flashing red. Oh, boy. I don't think we've saved enough. Guess not having cautions this run might have did us in. I think I'm going to try to stretch it to lap 99. And then we'll pit at 99. So when we cycle off of pit road, it'll be 100. We catch maybe one caution for the end of the race, and we could still make it on one more stop. That's my theory. Sadler might have to pit an extra time, though. Well, he pitted at lap 82, so that means he can make it on 2 more stops. Well, he's definitely going to have to pit an extra time. I mean, everybody's going to have to pit an extra time, other than Blaney. So that was the theory on trying to make it one last stop. We were trying to make it on 3, them on 4. It would be a 4-stop race all the way around if I have to pit an extra time. Because he can pit after lap 120 and after lap 160 and make it on 2 stops. Oh yeah, we're definitely topping off. I think I got to come in right now. I don't want to risk it another lap and run out of gas somewhere on the track. Better to play it safe. Locking up the tires quite a bit more that time, trying to make sure we weren't going to do anything. Going to take a half around a wedge out of it with going lefts only, because I think it'll tighten the car up more than loosen it. All right. Where will Elliott Sadler be? Where will Dave Blaney be? Blaney still has the lead. Next car behind us, I think, is Robbie Gordon in the 7. No other lap cars around us at the moment. These guys at the back of the pack, though. I remember with Harvick, I tried to draft with them, and they were just too slow, and Harvick still ran us down last Sunday at Pocono. Might not make it to lap 120. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Well, if he doesn't, I know there were a lot of other cars that pitted after him. He was like the first car to pit road. Got a 3-second lead on Elliott Sadler. All right. And drafting with Harvick helped us there. Honestly, we could probably just keep doing what we're doing if we have to pit an extra time with a few laps to go. Go splash and go only, and we might be able to cycle out with the lead still. Sadler about 0.2 quicker than Blaney that last lap. Not sure if there's any lap traffic around him at that point in time or not. Gone almost 70 laps since our last restart. So definitely the longest green flag run of the race so far. Halfway home here at the Pocono Raceway. I mean, we took a splash and go at New Hampshire with, what, 11 laps to go yesterday? Then splash and go at Chicagoland to get our lap back at the finish in case we would have gotten a late yellow. We didn't. But it might have saved us a few positions and allowed for us, again, to finish on the lead lap at the very least. That was with about 14, 15 laps to go. So at least I know it would probably work. We're going to stay on the strategy of still trying to pit late on this next stop. The only thing is with the final stop, I don't know that we could get away with that, because if we were to catch a caution, it would almost force our hand to having to stretch the fuel tank. Because then we'd have to be behind everybody else who would be on the lead lap, essentially. Which might not be many cars, with how much we were able to open the gap up over a lot of cars behind us. But we would still be behind at least a little bit. And I'd rather be in those top 2 positions if we could help it. You know, we'll find out what lap we pit next. You know, if we're really going to try to stretch it or not. It's not looking that likely that we're going to be able to make it on 2 stops anymore. We had those 3 cautions the first run, which is why we were able to go 51 laps. But I might have been able to go 1 more, but I really didn't want to risk it. If I would have ran out of gas in turn 2, we would have lost so much time. And then we would have really had to force it on trying to make it on fuel. And we would have had to back it up an extra lap and a half at that point, the rest of the race on each run, compared to what we already would have went that last run. It wouldn't have been as likely. This probably still our best chance to win the race. First to pit last, yep. Catching up to the 141 and the 45. 45 Kyle Petty, fantasy driver of Sanders in the 141. Looking to get by Kyle Petty. Those Blaney drafts now behind the 141 car on the front stretch. Still 2 seconds ahead of Sadler. Ah. Petty got into our left rear quarter panel there, just getting into turn 1. Oh, he got into us again. little more violently that time in turn 2. Petty up against the wall, right in the middle of the corner. Harvick was at the Panthers game. Interesting. I'm surprised he's still in Charlotte during the offseason and not out in California. Is he still doing his podcast through the offseason, or is it only during the season? I don't watch it as often. I usually just see clips from the Happy Hour podcast on like YouTube during the week, but I have no clue if he was doing it through the offseason, because I know the Dale Jr. Download, I think they're still putting up stuff into the offseason. Where are the Panthers playing today? Cowboys, right? Harvick's not close to his dad, I don't think. Well, I just meant I thought he might have had more family out there or something. Maybe they just like it better in North Carolina, I guess. It is a beautiful area of the country, I will say. That's why I want to go there. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly at what point next year I'm going to be moving down there, but I'm definitely moving down there next year. I'll keep it a surprise as to what... I have to time it out right for it to be at a point where I can use some of my vacation from work. Because I think the plan for me is I'm going to transfer to another Home Depot warehouse down there, because there is one in the Charlotte area. So I could just transfer and I'll have a job as soon as I go down there. If I find something else while I'm down there, you know, I will, but at least I'll have that job security, and I'll probably just like take vacation that first week I move down, or the week of moving down. So that way I don't have to rush. I get a whole week to do stuff. I get 2 weeks of vacation on the 18th of January. It rolls over, so I can use 1 week there, and then I can still save the other week for when I go to races. So that's kind of the plan. It's just when I want to pull the trigger on it. So the only off week for NASCAR next year is on Easter, and I'm definitely not moving on Easter. Holiday weekend. Consider I'll be going into an apartment. I don't even know that they would be open, obviously, that weekend to be able to do something like that anyway. So probably have to do it during the week at some point. Or immediately after the season, but with how the winters are here in Ohio, last thing I want to do is try to travel drive time-wise. I'm probably going to have to make more than one trip to get all the stuff I need to down there. I could probably get it in one trip with the U-Haul. The problem is somebody's going to have to drive my car, and then I'd have to take that said person back. So either way, I'm gonna need 2 trips. I'm drafting with this 141 car. I'm surprised he's fast enough. I'm not losing a whole lot of time to Kevin Harvick. Maybe we could save a little gas behind him with a slower pace. Sorry, not Harvick. I meant Sadler. We were drafting behind Harvick earlier. And they're going to have to pit 30, 40 laps or so. So we're going to be with this 141 for a while, although he's probably going to pit right around that point as well. We might have a chance to lead the most laps in the race today doing this. I didn't think we had any chance in leading the most laps, but it might be doable. Although Harvick is still closing in on us, though. Leads at 1.3. Will he get to us before he pits? It's going to be the question. I keep saying Harvick. I apologize for that. Elliott Sadler. Harvick's still barely top 10. I know Newman was in the top 5 real early in the race. I could see Harvick in about 5th, behind Gordon, Johnson, who are probably 3rd, 4th, assuming they're still in the race, and then obviously Blaney, Sadler. I could see Harvick in 5th. "28 straight laps, so we led 5 or 6 earlier before we had pitted for the first time. If I were to move more north than where I'm at, it would be in the Detroit area, just because I go up there so much. I could go to more games. That's the one thing I'm going to miss the most with, like traveling aspects and stuff, is I'm not going to be able to go to many Red Wings games. I'm definitely going to make the trip to Raleigh to see them play the Hurricanes every time they play there, because that's probably my only chance to see a Wings game every year. Maybe catch a... I mean, I'll obviously, travel back home at various times through the year. Catch an event up there mid-season. Got to be missing a lot of Tigers baseball. There's no... What's the closest MLB team to Charlotte? The Nationals, probably. Nationals, Baltimore. That's still a little bit of a trip. Second off the lead. Yeah, right around lap 120, give or take. It's closing. It's going to be a race to lead the most laps. It's going to be really close between us both. Because you got to think, too, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson led for a little bit earlier in the race, too. So it wasn't all Sadler up until like lap 40-something. But he did lead a lot of laps from 51 to 82. He led at least 30 there, and then however many laps he led before the first pit stop also. Bill Jackson, thanks for tuning in. Atlanta Braves. How close is Atlanta to Charlotte? I wouldn't have expected it to be that close. Seven-tenths of a second between Sadler and Blaney. Once he gets into our draft, which he's getting really close to it, he's going to be gaining a lot more time. Four hours. Yeah, that's closer to what I thought it was going to be. Wasn't really trying to get underneath the 141 car there that time. But we did. Catching the 176 car also in front of the 141. Six tenths. Now with two cars just in front of us, this is going to be interesting. Is our pace going to back down just that much more significantly? Because I think the 176 could be holding up the 141, which is obviously then holding up the 22 of Dave Blaney as well. W. Sanders. Whoever the 176 is. Going to get to the inside of the 176 through turn 2. Actually got underneath the 141 as well. Never cleared the 141. He was pretty much to our outside for a couple straight corners. Colonel Sanders relation? I was thinking more Deion Sanders, but maybe that too. Oh, I got into him. And Sadler gets through to the bottom of the track. That stacked up the 176 on the high side as well. And here's Elliott. And Sadler's pitting anyway this lap. So the lead's going to widen out anyway. $80 to go. Yeah, we're definitely going to lead for a long time. Well, the hope is that we get cars to cycle around us like we did earlier. I mean, you're right, though. He might not make it on one more stop after this. Which, if that's the case, then we're in an even better spot to try to win this race. About almost 5 seconds back to whoever's in third. Halfway to gas lap, 122. Yeah, we need Logano's fuel-efficient cars. You're right. We need that Joey Logano fuel efficiency. How the hell did he do that efficiency? Right front finally wearing out a bit. Remember, took those left side tires only on the last stop. We took right sides on the first stop. It'll be right side tires again when we go to make our third stop of the race, whenever that would end up being. Got him the title. It did. Maybe it'll get me the title. Although we're already ahead of where he would have been at this time of the year, but even still. Right sides only, then gas go only. Yep, that's definitely still the plan. We should be able to make it on just a half a can. If we pit knowing that we only have 10 more laps for the fuel side of things, depending on what that strategy would be, you know, maybe like 30 to go, then put 10 laps worth of fuel in it. Or top it off, I should say, from that point to the end. So I don't want to stay stranded out here for too long, that's for sure. I mean, there has been absolutely nobody around us this whole time. We're getting close to this car cycling out of the pits. Can't tell who that is. They're still a little too far ahead, though. We're not going to be able to keep up with them. Not even close enough to get in their draft quite yet. Still got other cars on pit road and just coming down at the time. Heck, I might even go fuel only on this stop just to try to get back to Elliott Sadler because we don't have the draft, and then we pit like 10, 15 laps after that for the rights. And then, you know, top off or whatever we need to do there. Because if I just run this out with no drafting help, we're going to lose Sadler. But there's nobody here, and I can't pit yet because I don't know that I'm in that window. That I need to be to go with the rights only and fuel only. Based off the strategy we've had in this race, though, it has made us more competitive today than what we had in the first Pocono race earlier this season with leading more laps. We should be able to lead more than 41. Couple cars side by side getting into turn one up ahead. Maybe I'm saving more fuel running slower laps this way. I don't know. It's like 122 when we got to halfway out of gas. This is definitely a slower pace. We got another car pitting just in front of us. A few more on pit road. Yeah, all these guys pitting right now, they're definitely going to be able to make it. $46 more laps than Sadler. Yeah, seems about right. I can believe that. Have I led for 70 laps? No, I don't think I've led for 70 laps already. Or are you talking 46 laps total? So we led from 82 to now, and then 5 or 6 before that. Sadler led for at least 30. Probably even more than that, because he pitted from the lead. Earlier in the race, and he definitely led from 51 to 82, which is 31 laps. We're almost at 50 consecutive laps led for ourselves. We're 2 more laps away from getting to 50 consecutive. Are you saying that he led for 46? You have led about 40. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we've led whenever that comment was. Yeah, we're pretty tight for where we're at right now. At 21 seconds, I think that's over Sadler. I could be wrong. That might be over Sadler. No, it's not. Okay, we got more cars that still are pitting. Oh, thank God. I thought that was all I had over him right now. I'm like, man, we're not going to be anywhere close to him when we pit. Even if it was fuel only. Man, there's some guys that have really stretched their fuel tanks out. I mean, they're still going to have to pit one more time, but... I mean, maybe we're not racing Sadler for the win. Maybe he pits before the end. It's definitely fuel mileage for Elliott Sadler. Okay, that makes it... Okay, now it's 36.5 seconds over the 38 car. That's more like it. I have to remember when I go rights only, too, that I am going to have to take... or put a half a round of wedge back into the car, because I did take a half round out the last stop. But that's because we changed the left sides. So I'll have to make a minor adjustment when that happens. Right now, I think I am going to just try to take this as far as I can then, now that I know I'm still 36.5 seconds ahead of him. He could be in traffic. That's slowing him down quite a bit, too. Maybe somebody else catches me from behind. We could draft off of them a little bit more. What is that distance? Okay, now we're at a quarter 10. So we're going to be able to go to about lap 142. 142, 143. We'll end up having to pit. We still got guys that are just cycling off pit road. I just saw somebody come out of the pits. They're stretching it almost about where I'm at. Those guys are way off the pace. They're staying on the lead lap, though. They're still in front of us. Good for them. I think it might be Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Say maybe Biffle and Ryan Newman closing up behind us. But again, what Sadler does. I might go. We'll see when we get close. Let's make this first stop. See where we're at compared to Elliott Sadler when we cycle off. I do think we will do the rights only on this stop first because I don't want to have to push these rights too much further. I don't want them to get into the red on the tire indicator, then I'm fighting for grip. But these lefts are going to have to go 102 laps, which they went 98 laps, so should be no reason why they can't go 102. They weren't even in the red yet. Definitely having some great tire management. Got a whole pack of cars up ahead. Biffle in the 16 looking to the outside. Turn 2. Biffle second in points still coming into the race today. And that is Newman behind the 16 as well, as predicted. .35.6, 35.7. We lost a second over the last several laps. A block on Biffle getting down towards turn 1 again. He passes me without me having to slow down a little bit. Then we'll draft behind him, but I haven't had to do that yet. It's going to be practice for later when I'm having to block Sadler, who's a little bit quicker than the 16, but we're definitely going to have to do that. Still about 35.6, 35.5. Pretty even that last lap with Sadler, lap time-wise. I think I'm going to pit at lap 142 just to be safe for fuel. Guess it also depends on where I go on the fuel indicator. Or fuel light. Still 35.5. Yeah, even not drafted behind anybody, we have decent pace to be able to hold off Newman and Biffle. Sadler could be, again, hurt by lap traffic and trying to make passes on him. That's very well possible. Newman, Biffle keep crossing each other over back and forth. Yeah, even though we're ahead of the 16 to the 12, I guess, yeah, that draft is probably helping us just a little bit more. Getting the draft from behind and getting the push rather than the pull from a car in front. We're not flashing red. I guess we will go to 43. Fuel light not flashing red yet. I went about 2.5 laps earlier when it was flashing red. Right, lap 141. Yeah, we might even go 144. Underneath the 45, Kyle Petty. Biffle got picked behind Petty for Newman to get back by the 16 yet again. Newman looking to pass Petty to the inside in turn 3. Yeah, I'm going to lap 144 now. I'm still not even in the flashing red on the indicator for the fuel light. And it's still not going. Are we going to go? Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Yeah, I'll pit at lap 144. Big run by Biffle that time. But Newman was behind us. Biffle got to our outside and wasn't going to have the momentum needed. Hold it there through the outside of turn 2. One more lap for Dave Blaney until pit stop number 3 here today at Pocono. Oh, man, we're going to get split. 3 wide middle into turn 1. Biffle tried the outside. Newman had an even bigger run down on the bottom. Newman's clear. Gets his lap back a little early. Right sides only. And down into the pits comes Dave Blaney. That was the best pit road entry I've had so far today. Rights only. Going to put that half round of wedge back into it again. All right. Man, we're going to go 500 miles at Pocono, only changing the left side tires once. That's insane. This is a bumpier Pocono surface at this time, too. Clean stop by the boys so far today. Three for 3. There's Elliott Sadler. Sadler right behind Dave Blaney. I'm not close enough to draft off that 41 car either. Is that Jimmy Johnson? What a run by the 48. He has caught Sadler and Blaney. It is Jimmy. He's trying to motor his way into the chase. And to keep up with Elliott Sadler, a guy who he's trying to chase, one of them. Wow. He's looking to make the pass for second. Does Johnson have more speed than Sadler now? Because, I mean, Sadler obviously wasn't really gaining on us anymore. I almost wonder if the 48's just quicker at this point. A little 7-time. Future 7-time. Got by Sorensen through turn 1. It will help if they battle. I don't know if they're gonna battle, though. Jeff Gordon's creeping in, too. He's the next car behind Sorensen. It's just like the very beginning of the race. Well, I shouldn't say the beginning of the race. It's gonna feel like after the first set of pit stops. Johnson for second to the inside of Elliott Sadler through the tunnel turn. We'll have 53 laps to go at the line this time by. Oh, he gets into Dave Blaney up against the wall for Jimmy Johnson. He's going to lose a ton of time. He's going to fall a spot back as Gordon got by the lapper and Johnson through turn 3. And Dave Blaney holds on to the lead, and he's a second ahead. Just got to second place, overdrove the entry to turn 3. I didn't really crowd him there. I gave him room. It's almost similar to what Harvick did, which caused an incident in the tunnel turn in the last race here when we were battling in the final 5 laps for the win. That was all on Johnson. How much time did he lose now? He lost a lot. He's well behind Sorensen back there. Gordon now may be the fastest car on the track, as he's right behind Elliott Sadler for second. Ford Race Fan, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Jimmy definitely did that to himself. That was very similar to turn 2 with Harvick when we had about 5-6 laps to go in the last race here last Sunday. The only difference is we both wrecked. Johnson got up against the wall. We stayed green through all that, though. And it did give us a little bit of moment to try to breathe. Gordon gets by Sadler. I think Gordon's going to really run us down here. They start drafting together, too. They can pull up to us a little quicker. So they've been nose to tail for a whole lap and a half now. Gordon looking to the inside off of turn 2. We'll see if he gets alongside of him into 3. Nope, not quite. Sadler shuts the door. Gordon goes wide in the center of the corner. Maybe overdrove the entry a bit. 51 laps to go. And every lap we lead is adding on to potentially leading the most laps in the race today to get those 10 bonus points and a max points day if we can go to victory lane for the 13th time this season here at Pocono. We finished 3rd at Pocono last Sunday in our first race of the season here. Gordon now to the inside of Sadler for second place into turn 1. Cannot clear off the exit of the corner. They're still side by side for position as they head for the tunnel turn. Again, the last stop for Dave Blaney will be a splash and go only stop, assuming it will be under green like the last couple of stops. In fact, nobody's pitted under caution today. All 3 yellows in the first 32 laps. We have gone 100 and nearly 20 laps since the last restart, which was lap 32. Gordon in second. And he's gaining quick now that he's close enough to draft off of Blaney, and he's still getting a push from Sadler down that long straightaway for turn 1. 50 laps to go. We got a lot of racing left here. Got 150 miles yet to go. Just think, though, if this was a 400-mile race, we'd be 10 laps away, and this is the race for the win. If this was a doubleheader weekend, our race would be over already. Yellows earlier, 5 to 6 car crash in turn 1 before lap 20. Bobby Labonte at the brunt of it. Took a hard hit head on into the wall. And Gordon, hang on a second. Kind of nudged our left rear. Just enough getting into turn 1. And Jeff Gordon going to take the lead yet again at Pocono. And it's been a long time since he's led. That was before the first set of pit stops, the last time Jeff Gordon's led in this race. Blaney back to the inside through turn 3. Gordon leads at the line. He had enough side draft. All right, well, so Gordon is out in front. I think we just draft behind him and try to pull away from Sadler then. Until Gordon ends up pitting, which is probably going to be after the 38 car. I mean, the 38 is still going to be tight on fuel to the end of the race from when he's going to pit next. I would imagine Gordon's going to be better on gas, which also could be a reason why Sadler is running a slower pace right now. He could be trying to back it up so he can make it on fuel to the finish. Because he was looking like he may be a few laps short, even with pitting one more time. Well, we've led more laps than Sadler. Gordon hasn't led a lot today, so it doesn't hurt us to draft behind Gordon to still get the 10 bonus points either. I don't know that he's going to have enough laps left to try to catch us. I don't think he led for that many early in the race. I think he only led a few laps. And he may be a harder time to try to pass as well compared to Sadler. When we tried to cross him over, we couldn't make the pass there. We'll cycle back ahead of him when we take a fuel-only stop, more than likely. It'll be splash and go for our final pit stop today, whenever that may be. I mean, we had a good run. We led for about 60 consecutive laps. 70, actually. About 70 consecutive laps. Oh, wow. There's some smoke in turn 2. We almost had a crash. Which would have been our 4th caution of the race that last time. Oh, we got a couple slow cars down the bottom of the track. Turn 3. It's Kenseth. It's Hamlin. Splitting around him 3 wide with the lapper of Sterling Marlin. Back to the lead again here for Dave Blaney. And Gordon checked up. Kenseth was caught up in that early wreck with Labonte. Hamlin goes a lap down. Marlin goes a lap down in turn 1. I wonder if that's where we almost saw the caution. Kenseth brake after the near wreck. And we don't need to be battling like this, Sterling. Just to pass him back in turn 3. All right. Yeah, that'll help us lead even more laps. Sadler pit. I'd be shocked if he did. Well, if he pitted now, he's definitely not making it to the finish. If he pitted already. Yeah, I stayed in the gas there. Now this is going to be interesting. 44 laps to go and the caution's out. We're right at our number. Oh, man, when you think you're in a good spot on fuel mileage and then that happens. Fourth caution of the day, Kyle Busch, debris. We've had a pretty good race today, honestly. This is a Pocono banger. We're going to have to pit. This is going to lead everybody down, probably. Whoever stays out. If they stay out, then they think they can't make it. Yeah, Gordon stayed out. Oh, wow. This is... Well, we're definitely taking 4 tires then. And we're right back into the fuel mileage race again. Pit, you can make it. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be close. I'm definitely pitting. I can't not pit here. Because if other cars pit and they make it, I know I definitely have to pit again. It really forced our hand. We're gonna lose the lead. Gordon stayed out. It'll be interesting to see how many others stay out. There's hardly anybody on pit road. I might be the only one. And there's probably still a lot of cars on the lead lap, too. We're going to be way back in traffic. Which is going to be scary because these restarts here are wild. Now, I like pitting here. Yeah, they didn't pit. I don't think they can make it. I think that's why they stayed out. Fourth caution. 40 to go. Gordon leads. Green flag back in the air. 25 cars on the lead lap. Marlin got the free pass as the first car lapped down right behind us. Not a great restart here for Dave Blaney. I did spin the tires. I was kind of moving back and forth a lot. Well, we got another... Oh, I hit it. I think the tires are okay. I don't know who that was. I hit the hood laying on the track. Might have been Busch again. Yeah. I don't know. Back-to-back yellows. 5 cautions now. Well, maybe they all pit and then we stay out. We're like right there. Let's see if they pit this time. If they don't pit, I'm topping off. If they do pit, I'm staying out. I'll have to wait and see. See if they hang that hard to the left under the pace car here. Yeah, they're pitting. I'm staying out. We're going to get our track position back. We're going to have to go like an extra straightaway on fuel compared to everybody else, but that's extra straightaway on green and a couple extra cautions, but I think we can make it. All right, well, 36 to go. Green flag back in the air. Lappers on the inside of the lead lap cars at the front of the field. Takes Blaney a little bit to get going here. Good launch there initially. F1 Edit 17, thanks for tuning in. Over 130 green flag laps of racing at Pocono after the first 3 yellows. Man, they are going nuts back there. Look at that, 3x3 out of the tunnel turn. It's definitely going to buy Blaney a little bit more time at the front of the field. Well, we went from all that strategy, now it's a sprint to the finish. With 35 laps to go. Try to draft behind this lapper as long as we can. Ah, man, he's holding me up a ton right in the middle of the corner. Might have to just get around him. I was backing off quite a bit, and I still got underneath him a little bit off the exit of the corner. Johnson looks like he's back into second place out there off of turn 2. Jimmy's going to win the battle through the lap cars. They're going to wreck. I mean, there's no chance. I see them out of the rear view. There's like 3 or 4 rows of 3 wide out of the tunnel turn for the last couple laps now. Looks like Gordon's right behind Johnson. That 151 car lapper still in front of the 48 and the 24. This guy in front of us probably likes this because if he gets a caution, he's back on the lead lap. So he's happy. That would give the 151 the free pass behind us at the moment, unless somebody gets around him. We would have 26 cars on the lead lap with another free pass awarded during that last Kyle Busch debris caution. 3 cautions for debris, 2 crashes today. Maybe turn 2 is where Busch had the issue then if it wasn't Kenseth that blew a motor. Johnson will get by the 151. Lenny can't get much closer to this car in front of him. Randolph. D. Randolph. Fantasy driver. We need to go, guy. We don't need Hendrick Motorsports teaming up to get us a 1 second lead at the line. 32 long laps to go at Pocono. Blaney, keep this up long enough. Tenth quicker than second place that last lap. This guy's got enough pace in 27th. That sounded weird, but I think he's got enough. As long as Johnson and Gordon don't start tag teaming. It's like a tandem race. It's Johnson and Gordon with me in the lap car. Tandem racing at Pocono. Who's going to get there first? Johnson may be gapping Gordon just a little bit. .30 laps left at the line. Well, we just clinched the most laps led by leading that last lap, so clinched it way earlier than I anticipated. But I also thought we were going to lose the lead for a while to Jeff Gordon. So Kenseth slowed up and had the cautions. The Tiburon car. I was wondering what the sponsor was on this thing. I don't think I've seen this paint scheme. It really is amazing, though, that I clinched the most laps led, because when we were drafting behind Sadler during that second fuel run of the race, I didn't think there was any chance that was going to be possible. Like, we had led 5-6 laps. I had zero thought in us leading even as many laps as we did in the first race here earlier this season, which was 41. And here we are. We're probably going to end up leading over 100 laps today. Pretty close to it. Same car, setup-wise. So alive to possibly lead the most laps in NASCAR history. I forget what that number was last season on the Mark Martin Revenge Tour. I think it's definitely possible. Well, I don't know. I doubt it because we got so many intermediate tracks left. Like mathematically, yes, but I don't know that for a fact. Like we're gonna go through a lot of those mile-and-a-half tracks and not lead many laps. Banking fuel to the end. Oh yeah, saving it right behind this guy for sure. Yeah, it is over 4,000. I can definitely get. I think I can get up over 3,500. I don't know that I'm going to be able to get all the way up over 4,000 again. Honestly, that Mark Martin season, I don't think we'll be able to do that again. We won like 20 races that season too, so looking at this, for instance, on this season, I don't know that we're going to win that many races. It looked like right out of the gate I was going to have a chance to break Petty's record, and then we really cooled off once we got out of the Southern 500. Won that 10th race of the year at Darlington in race number 14, I think. 13, 14, and then, yeah, we cooled off quite a bit. I'd like to get the average finish record. I don't know what that is, because I don't think I broke that last season. That might be still alive. It's back down to a second again. It was out to a 1.2 second lead. 25 laps to go here at Pocono. We're going to try to draft behind this guy as long as we possibly can. 13 today. Half the race is remaining. I'd like to think I should be able to win Phoenix, Bristol. We're probably going to have to skip Richmond, though, because of we'll have the chase clinch, I would imagine, by then, which is the regular season finale. Martinsville. That might be about it as far as Dover, New Hampshire. I'm looking at like 4 or 5 that I would like to think I should be able to win before the race even starts. I would imagine I can win those races. With fuel banked away, then pass him. I still think I'm just going to stay behind him. It's not so much the fuel saving as much as it is I just think I'm faster in the draft. And Johnson and Gordon will have a better chance of catching me quicker if I wasn't drafting behind this lap car. And this lap car's got enough pace that I was able to pull out to that 1.2 second lead initially. Johnson and Gordon pulling away from the rest of the pack. Still 8 to 9/10 of a second lead with 23 laps to go. Win Richmond 2 by 2 laps. Yeah, but the problem is I'm probably not racing it, though. I don't want to race any more regular season races once we clinch the regular season title, just for the sake that there's really nothing. It's not like we could race for playoff points if it was a current playoff format. Like, we literally have nothing to race for once we lock up the #1 seed. 5-point increments between every position when the chase starts. First, through 10. Just kind of went down to the bottom of the racetrack going into the... Well, although with doing that, when I have a bigger run on him, especially going into turn 1, I'd have to probably lift more to keep it off the back bumper of his car. So, do get just a little bit tight behind him. I will say, it's also good to have the 4 fresh Goodyears on the car. So it is going to give me more drivability and a better chance to make a pass if we do get past in the late going. Couple hundredths quicker for Johnson that last lap, but that might have been about it. Definitely not going to have to worry about lap traffic the rest of the day outside of this car in front of us whenever we end up passing him. Can race for records. If I hadn't broken those records in the Mark Martin season, I would definitely go for it still, but because we did break the laps led record there. So I don't think Petty's wins record's going to be in any contention to be broken. I won Fontana on fuel mileage with a perfect caution earlier this year. I don't know that I'm going to be able to... I mean, unless the same thing happened again. Richmond would probably be a win. We may run Bristol, which is the 3rd to last. It'll be close. Far more important. It is. It definitely is. Because we have to do stuff like this just to lead this many laps to kind of just draft behind guys just to keep speed up. So we don't have it by ourselves down the straightaway. Seven-tenths of a second back. If Johnson gets into the draft behind Blaney, he's going to really start to creep in a lot quicker. Hasn't gotten to that point yet. Slapper in front of us running the very bottom of the racetrack more that time. Running off the wall. I don't think Johnson's going to be close enough. We actually gapped him by a 10th. We're 10th quicker than Johnson that last lap. Back out to an 8/10 of a second lead yet again. Big bobble by this 184 car. Fortunately, Blaney got underneath him right in the middle of the corner. He wiggled a ton getting down into turn 1 there. A little bit of side-by-side is good for Jimmy Johnson. Not enough straightaway speed even to stay alongside of him all the way down that second straightaway in the track. Rather see Petty's win record stand. I mean, I'd love to break it. I don't think it's possible that we'd get anywhere close. We'd have to win all but 3 races the rest of the season to break the record from where we're at right now. No, actually, to break the record, we'd have to win all but 2. To tie it, we'd have to win all but 3. I believe. I might be doing my math wrong. You got 6 different winners, but 2 of them have won 7. I've won all but 7. So I'm at 29 right now. I'd have to win all but 2 more races to tie. If I lose 1 more race, I could still break the record, it's probably not going to be broken. I was definitely getting my hopes up early in the season and thinking that it was going to be even remotely possible. 15-6, that'd be ridiculous. There's no way I can do that with this car. We've won 1.5 mile track, and that was the flattest one at Vegas. An impressive win here at Pocono, though, with this car, I will say. We can hold off Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon for another 15 laps. 15 to go at the line. Here at the Pocono Raceway. And the lead's down to 0.7 of a second yet again. Lapper again running that outer groove through turn 1, and another big run for Blaney. It was just more that time. Blaney had just such a gigantic run. That lap car didn't really wiggle that time like he did earlier. Getting into that first turn. We'll be the kings of Pocono for today. And Ryan Blaney's won here twice. About time we get Dave Blaney a win here. But he's only half a second ahead of Jimmy Johnson. I gotta clear this guy now. Finally able to do it. Jimmy got close enough. He was going to be able to draft off of us. He was already drafting off of us that last corner, or the last straightaway. Headed into turn 1. So 184 going a lap down again. Johnson to the inside of him through turn 3. That guy's going to lose a lot of time to the leaders. 14 laps to go. Johnson still side by side with the 184. Jimmy with a big-time run down to the bottom of the racetrack. Closes the gap into the first turn, clears the lapper. Jeff Gordon in third, still trailing, but can't count him out of the race yet either. Johnson made contact with us. The last time he tried to make a run, it was in turn 3. And he lost a lot of ground, but that last restart, blazing for him to get this chance yet again. It's a lane off the wall here. Just don't want him to... Not going to go all the way to the bottom, but I really don't want him to get too big of a run on us. So he's going to have the run regardless, but it would be unblockable if he was in our draft. $12 to go. Gordon side by side with the 184. He should be able to pass him in turn 2. Now we have to do our best Joey Logano, which is mirror drive. Not often we have to play defense to try to win a race. Not one, but two Hendrick Motorsport Chevys. The two greatest Hendrick Motorsport drivers of all time, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon. The future 7-time champ from this point in NASCAR and the actual 4-time champ. And Gordon had more speed than Johnson earlier. Jimmy was pulling away from Gordon until he caught Dave Blaney. Blaney kind of backing up Johnson. Jimmy creeping to that outside line. Blaney will give that to him. Just doesn't want to give up the bottom at all costs. 10 to go. He's got to hold clear center off of the corner for to cover the outside lane. Ten laps left. A run for Jimmy into turn one. You got some other cars that are actually catching up as well there on the 184. This might be a pack race at Pocono here for the finish. We had the tandem racing earlier. Now we've got a near pack race. Jimmy flatlining the entry there into turn two. Whatever happens, I don't want to crowd them if they do get underneath us, because I really don't want to wreck like we did with Harvick battling for the win last time. They get on that left rear corner panel, we got to give them room. Although we did give Johnson room earlier and it still wasn't enough, but might have to give him more. Big block up on the high side there. Johnson had it. Now Johnson's trying to block Jeff Gordon. Gordon may get alongside the 48 off turn one, and he does. But Johnson gets the draft off the 22. Cuts down to block Gordon. Blaney blocks Johnson. Oh, Blaney overdrove it a little. Contact. Gonna hang on to it, at least for now. Slight weeble wobble. Gordon almost stole second on the outside. Johnson pushes wide. Center of the corner. Jimmy cuts the 24 off. 8 long laps left here at the Pocono Raceway. Gordon with the crossover down to the bottom underneath Johnson again. I can't tell who that is in fourth place. Just past the 184 car. Locking Gordon. For turn two. Oh, moves him. And into the wall. More contact. All over the place. Blaney's still in the lead. Gordon holds on to second. How did we not wreck there? My goodness. I pancaked that wall. 7 to go. Yeah, maybe Sadler gets back into it. We haven't seen him in a minute. Casey Kane. He's behind Jimmy Johnson. Casey Kane, Greg Biffle are 4th and 5th. Johnson to the inside of Gordon for second in turn one. We still got about 6.5 laps left. Oh, Lord. It would sting to lead this many laps and not win this race. We did everything right. I knew those cautions were going to make it harder. Instead of racing one guy, we were going to have to race a bunch of them, and here we are. Last restarted with 36 laps to go, and we have 6 to go at the line this time. Bye. Yeah, Gordon got us getting into the corner, and I tried to hold as much speed as I could on the outside, but then we mowed the wall down and bounced right back into him again. Casey Kane trying to get his first win of the season. Tony Stewart's up here out of nowhere. Johnson and Gordon are slipping. Kane's to second. Biffle might take that away from him. Five laps left this time by. Biffle's there. He drove it in deep. Little contact in the center of the corner. Drag race, which he's probably going to win. Going to try to block Stewart on the outside at least. It's not going to be an easy pass to try to get back around him with the lack of straightaway speed in this 22 car. But the draft at least will keep us in it. Down to the curbing in turn one. Oh, I self-cleared him. Self-cleared him out of turn one there. I didn't want to be side by side still. Now Johnson's back to the bottom again. Turn 2. Jimmy. Contact. Quarter taking gas left this point. Doesn't matter. Johnson's down in the grass. How did he hold that? He's clear. Johnson to the lead. 3 wide for third. Gordon, Stewart, Kane. Biffle's behind him. Blaney sails it off into turn 1. Got him back. That was a clean pass that time. I thought I was too far behind. He left more bottom open than Biffle did when he was leading there into turn 1. Oh, I'm so scared when he drives it in that deep that he's going to slip us like he did earlier. Back and forth and back and forth. Not going to be able to cross him over that time. Might have to try for turn 1 if we can get the momentum back up again. I don't know if we're going to be able to. Gordon's got to run instead to the bottom. So he looks to the inside. Big run down to the curbing again for Blaney. Going to get the nose out in front of Johnson, but I don't know if he's going to clear. He's not gonna. 2.5 laps to go. Once we get into the tunnel turn. Into turn 3. I'm pressing so hard on the gas down the straightaways like it does that much more. Speed the car up. Two to go. I'm going to do whatever it takes if it comes down to the final lap. I'm telling you guys that now. Because I don't know if I can get her by Johnson. Oh, we're so close. Oh, we got him. Turn 1, Blaney back to the lead again. Blocking Johnson down the next straightaway. Settle in. We got the white coming out this time. No cautions on the final lap. Gordon's going to go for second on Johnson through turn 3. He might have him. Casey Kane back to 4th, and he got Stewart Biffle, Fitz 6th. Knows the tail at the line. White flag. Gordon going low. Blaney wheel hopped it down into turn 1. They're almost 3 wide for the lead. Leaning on Jeff Gordon. Gordon's got the advantage down on the bottom. And he's going to get through. Casey Kane dropped him behind the 22. Oh, he overdrove it. Casey almost into the fence. One last corner for Jeff Gordon to hold on and get the win here at Pocono. Blaney sails it off into turn 3. Can he get underneath him? Oh! Back it up! Back it up! No! Tony Stewart, I think, is going to win it. Oh my goodness! Huge pile up! They're wrecking hard! Where are we going to finish? Get to the line! 4th! Oh my gosh! Oh man! Have you ever? Oh man, I'm not even upset about that. We crunched hard. I was standing on the throttle like right in the middle of turn 3. I didn't even know if I was going to get back to him. Everybody was just racing back to the line. I was trying to get it pointed back in the right direction before once we lost the lead and I was sitting backwards. I just had to go backwards to get back to the line. I might have even blown a tire there at the finish. I definitely lost some parts and pieces to the car. There's the end of it. I want to see if we get a replay of this whole thing. I don't know if we're going to. That was earlier. That was the first time Johnson tried to pass us, like, I don't even know, what, like 50 to go, somewhere around there? This was coming to the checker. That was all behind us. 15-car wreck. It was a lot. I mean, they just come running into each other. There's no caution, so they're not going to slow up. Everybody was trying to get every spot they could. I will say that is going to shake up the chase points quite a bit. That is 3 hours of NASCAR coming down to that. Oh my gosh. Tony Stewart led only the final lap of the race to get his first win of the season. I did all I could. I literally did all I could. I don't even know where we beat Gordon. Jeff Gordon ended up 5th. We led 112 laps, just couldn't win it, man. We had the right strategy, but unfortunately we had 2 late cautions with about 44 and 40 laps to go, which set up the 36 lap finish. But with that, we had to do whatever we could to just try to hold them off, and we held them off until about 6-7 to go, and then the race was just on from there. Tony turned 2, because he tried to go 3 wide under me and Johnson for 2nd, but he overdrove it, and I think that's how Stewart got to 4th. And then me and Gordon wrecked. Johnson got caught up into it again. I need to look at this replay. I'll share it on screen, too, when I find it. Me and Gordon wrecked. See here. Yeah, Stewart went from 5th to 1st on the final lap. He won by over 4 seconds. He was the only one that made it through that wreck. Everybody else pretty much crashed. He's the only one that survived. And probably didn't make contact with anybody. Alright. Hold this up on screen here. My camera's going to be hidden there for a little bit. Here's the finish. The camera you see is the old one. Sound is off. This is what we had. This is the final lap. That was so comical. I was just laughing because there's so... We got the perfect view because we were sitting backwards coming to the line of us. Just everybody piling it under us. What a move by Jeff Gordon. Little leanage. Through turn 1. I was trying to side draft him at that point, and that just slowed me down more with the contact. If it would have been a clean side draft, we might have been able to drag race into 2. I thought Casey Kane was going to wipe us out right there. Because that was very similar to what Harvick did, and that wiped us out with about 5 to go at Pocono earlier this season. And then here, I thought I was too far back to even get underneath him. And I was definitely not going to win the drag race back to the line, so that was the only chance I had, was kind of hooking him in the left rear. Stewart clipped us, and that kind of backed us around even more. Oh my gosh. Got guys going everywhere. The whole track's blocked. Look at... If we can break this down frame by frame. I was cheering for a 4th place finish. I can't believe that. It's as happy as I've been about finishing 4th. Although we did finish 4th at Michigan, running out of gas on the last lap. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah. I lost... Yeah, my left rear went flat right there when Stewart hit us. The only way I was going to make it back to the line was doing this anyway. And because I was kind of pinned against the wall, the car wasn't going to turn around on me if I kept steering against it. I mean, they were piling up into each other. We passed cars going backwards because they were wrecking. Mark Martin's car is all sorts of torn up. Look at him down here. These guys up against the inside wall, they're just going to get piled into. Who was that? Somebody went low to miss everything high and just completely killed somebody. Yeah, just watch the right side of the screen. Through there. He clipped Gordon and just slowed him down. Yeah, but there's guys that are already down here spinning. And then somebody just comes full speed and clears them out. I barely beat Gordon back to the line. Casey Kane fell all the way to 8th. Where did Jimmy Johnson finish? I'll get the normal screen back up there again. We're back to real time. Alright. Take a look at these finishing results. Debris flew all over the catch fence. Yeah, there might be some injured fans. There's debris everywhere. I've never seen that much debris laying across the racetrack before. Because usually, you get a debris caution. So for the final lap, there was just debris everywhere. I mean, there was nowhere for anybody to go. There were guys probably cutting tires trying to get through that, and then they were wrecking. 5 cautions, 26 lead changes. We had probably, like 3 or 4 or 5 of them in the final 7 laps. 141.52 mile per hour average race speed, 3 hours, 31 minutes, and 58 seconds. All came down to that final corner finish there. Margin of victory, 4.3 seconds. Tony Stewart gets the win, leads only 1 lap. Biffle led only 1 lap, finishes 2nd. He escaped the carnage as much as he could. I mean, Tony Stewart still technically was involved because he clipped us, which kind of top spun us around even more after the contact with Gordon. Honestly, if he didn't hit us, was there going to be a way? Well, he was still full speed. He might have had more momentum than us coming back to the line anyway. I might have been able to get 2nd, though, if he didn't hit us. That spun me around all the way, and it blew my left rear out, but that was almost like, you know what that was? That was like the that Daytona race that he won in the Xfinity Series when everybody was wrecking, that 2-car tandem race. Was that 20... It was either 2011... It was the one... 2013? Yeah, it might have been 2013. That's what that kind of reminded me of, was Stewart winning. Larson went into the cut. Yeah, it was that same wreck. Because there was another one that was kind of like that James Buescher won, which was a couple years before. A year or 2 before. But, yeah, the one Tony Stewart won, though. He was in, like, the top 4 coming to the line and then won it. But, yeah, which was basically here. He was 4th in the final corner, but he was 5th coming to the white. Unbelievable. Who would have thought Tony Stewart was going to... Like, if that was me as Tony Stewart and that was coming to the line, I would have been going... I was already kind of excited about what was going on in real time there, but... Man, oh man. Biffle, 2nd. Martin, 3rd. Dave Blaney, 4th. Jeff Gordon, 5th. He had Jamie McMurray in 6th. He stole that. I don't even know where he was. Started 41st. J.J. Yaley gets a top 10 at 7th. Casey Kane fell from 4th to 8th on the final lap. Then he had Dale Jr. 8th. Michael Waltrip gets a top 10 at Pocono. Where did Jimmy Johnson finish? Johnson ended up 19th. I kind of want to go back and see what happened to him. He was in 3rd. Stewart was 8th in points too. Yeah, and he needed that. He was on a hot streak before this win. He had consecutive top 5s, which bumped him into the chase, but now he gets his first win. Sadler 15 too. Yeah, he probably fell way behind even before that because he wasn't even in the top 6. But yeah, Jimmy Johnson, man, if he misses the chase, he's going to look back to this race and being like, man, I was in 3rd coming to the line. How did he end up 19? I'm going back one more time. How did he finish that far back? Because I thought he was pinned behind Jeff Gordon. I'm not going to show it on screen this time because I just logged out of the display capture. So he was in third. I got into Gordon. He was stuck behind Gordon. He got to the inside of Gordon, and then something happened. So he got to the inside of us, but somehow didn't beat us back to the line. So I don't know where exactly what happened to him. He clipped Gordon, and he was kind of sliding, but I still thought he was going to keep momentum. I thought he was one of the three that passed us in real time. I didn't think that Biffle and Martin were the ones that got by us. Some guys probably did not finish. That is very well possible. We're not going to know who would have DNF'd in that crash. But yeah, I would like to think that there were definitely guys that did not finish in that and make it back to the line, because it was on the final lap, so we're still going to have 27 cars that finished on the lead lap. As far as the guys who we definitely know that DNF, D. Langford, W. Dwight, Scott Riggs, we saw blown engine early. One of the Bush brothers, is that Kurt or Kyle? It would have been Kurt, because Kyle had the debris cautions in the final 50 laps. So Kurt Busch DNFs again. He was just getting momentum back. He won at Pocono. He had some good finishes, was kind of clawing back in the points. I think this DNF for Kurt's probably going to take him out of a chance to make it to the chase now. And Kenseth with a DNF too. That's two drivers below the cut line. Heavy hitters too. Kenseth and Busch both DNF. But yeah, W. Hall with them, and then Stremme 2 laps down. So 6 DNFs that we know of, maybe more, coming to the line. I still can't believe, yeah, 4.3 second margin of victory for Tony Stewart on the final lap. What a wild finish. That might be a first on the channel right there. It's definitely a first, me back and across the line in fourth. I've never done anything like that before. And our next race will be the Brickyard 400. Oh boy. That'll be middle of the week sometime. It will be the Brickyard 400. I've got a Christmas party that I'm attending tomorrow, so we will not be streaming tomorrow night. What a wild finish. Now we'll see what the points look like. More raw speed at Indy, maybe? Well, we'll see. I think it'll be probably similar to tonight as far as what we're going to have to do. Pit strategy will be interesting. Similar track, but shorter length. See if any cautions come about. Biffle gets a couple points back on us. Not many. He was second. We were fourth. We led the most laps. I think he only beat us by 5 points today. Harvick is up to third. Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon now fifth in points. Stewart's up a spot to seventh. Yeah, I didn't really see Dale Jarrett. He wasn't up in the top 10 at least. So all of these guys, Jarrett, Sadler, Johnson, Labonte, and Kenseth, all outside the top 10. And Kurt Busch DNF'd. Mark Martin had a top 3, so he moves up to 14th. But Johnson does get in front of Labonte. If Johnson had finished top 3, he'd probably be 8th in points. If he would have finished 3rd rather than 19th with the laps led, he'd probably be 8th in points, but instead he's still 10th. And in a fight with Labonte, I still want Labonte to get in. Kenseth's DNF, man. He's 93 points back. This was a race to capitalize in the finish, but he wasn't there for the finish. Maybe Jeff Green's back in it now. He's about a race back. It's going to be tough, though. He's not in the same equipment that the 48. I mean, even the 43, it's what it's probably going to come down to. It's probably going to come down to Jarrett, Sadler, Labonte. Like, Johnson is picking up from where he was. He was like 14th in points a handful of races ago, and he's getting better runs now. By the way, I just stole Hendrick Motorsports' first win of the year. Like, Jeff Gordon had that race won. He was going to win the drag race back to the line. Honestly, I only lost 2 positions with that move. So if we look at the consistency side of things, like, I only lost 2 spots pulling that off. So it really didn't hurt me much. I wasn't going to win either way. There's no way I was going to be able to beat Gordon back to the line without contact. And Gordon still got a top 5, and he still moves up to 5th, so. Yeah, he's sitting all right. But yeah, it's probably going to come down Jarrett, Sadler, Labonte if I had to guess. Maybe Kenseth. I mean, if Kenseth gets some really good runs in, he might be back at contention. He's not that far back. He's only 93 points behind Johnson. 87, excuse me. He's 87 points behind Johnson. So he definitely is still in it, even with the DNF today. He's lucky that all those other guys, 8th through 11th in front of him, also finished outside the top 10. Otherwise, he'd probably be well over 100 points back. So he got bailed out. This was a good race for him to DNF if he was going to have one. Leader was a sitting duck, yeah. Really was. I was surprised I was able to battle as much as I did. Once we got past on the final lap, my best passing opportunity was turn 1. When I was making those crossovers, it was in turn 1 consistently. Wonder how many skill points I lost on that last lap. I still got enough to unlock. This is my last chase plate. Dale Earnhardt. There it is. There we go. I've unlocked all the chase plates. All right, that's going to be enough of this. Gonna have tomorrow off. Again, I got a Christmas party to attend tomorrow night. So we'll be back on Tuesday, and that will either be our Brickyard 400 or a Modified Series doubleheader. Not entirely sure which one yet, but we'll see. We'll see. On the quest to getting Dave Blaney the championship. Now we have to win out to break Petty's record, so congratulations, Tony Stewart. First win of the season. That could be huge, though, if for some reason he DNFs and needs a tiebreaker. I'm just saying. That could be a big-time win. But, all right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Go Pack, go. Got the Seahawks tonight. Can't wait.